Welcome to Real Money Talks. Real strategies from the moneymakers and the world changers that you can use to make millions, keep those millions, multiply your wealth, and build your team. Here's your host, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View, Loral Langemeier.
All right, wonderful. Very good. Happy to be with you guys today. This is Brian Schofield with the Integrated Wealth Systems, Loral Langemeier's team. Very happy to provide you with our June Ask Loral today with Pitch Investors Live. We're very excited for this. For those of you who are kind of new to this, well, you know what we're going to do? We are going to be going live on Facebook here in just a few seconds. So I'm going to wait a second before I give a little bit more of these instructions here. But the reason we want to do this and we want to share this with as many people as we can, and the reason we go live with this on Facebook is, again, we want to really share this message. This is something we get asked about a lot. This is something we want to really, again, spread the word. A lot of people talk to Loral and ask her questions about being a shark and what it really means and how they can get into that world. And so that's really why we have this today. We do have a special guest that I'll let Loral introduce in just a minute. With the Ask Loral, the traditional way that we do this is people will ask us questions, and the questions come in when they register. And we have usually anywhere from 400 to 500 people that register for the Ask Lorals. We've had some that have been over 1,000. Well, oftentimes people ask us questions, and obviously we can't answer 500-600 questions in an hour. So what we do is we are very selective about what we pick. So I'll go through the 300 plus questions we had from this one that came in. And I'm going to sort them kind of based on their genre, I guess you could say. And then I pick out some of those to make sure that typically a group of questions are being answered or taken care of. With that, I usually will base some of them based on the theme of the call. And I also have some generic ones that are picked out that we can answer every single time. So anyway,
awesome. Let's
introduce Loral Langemeier. Go for it, Loral.
Awesome. Hi, Brian. And what a great month this has been. So last month we had Robin, who's a dear friend of mine, on and did some great Amazon work with a lot of you that are into that space and wanting to grow Amazon businesses. And we just have a great year plan. So about, I don't even know, maybe a year ago, 6 months ago, I don't know, Jonathan will probably remember the exact date. Kevin Harrington told me about this business that he was, becoming a shark in. And he and I think a lot of you know, wrote a book. We have several other ventures together. And he said, the band's got to come back. You got to meet these guys. They got this cool thing. It's like online Shark Tank. And I said, yeah. It's like another deal. He said, no, like this, it's real. And so I watched for a while. And anyway, here we are, fast forward, and I'm part of the team. So I'm excited. I'm actually going to take my first pitch tonight as a investor shark. If I can use that vernacular, I'm sure Jonathan will correct me. We have just an awesome conversation we're going to have tonight and just give you the opportunity for that perfect pitch. Years ago, that's what Kevin and I, ran around the country and really taught people, why do you put a shark in your tank? How do you get investors? How do you do a pitch? And, I think the statistics are there's over 100,000 people that stand in line forever to be on Shark Tank, and 88 people get there. And then a lot of those deals don't even get done. So what we're going to show you is the coolest technology on how, if you have something you want to pitch. And anyway, we'll get to that in a moment. But Brian, I know we have, like I said, hundreds and hundreds of questions. Actually, I want to do it a little bit differently. I want to invite Jonathan onto the call because he's super smart and super fun. And as we do some of these questions, Jonathan, it'll just get to know you a little bit. So we'll answer a few questions and then we're going to get into our pitch content. So Jonathan, welcome to our, Ask Loral call. It's our monthly call where people ask any question they want. And we are unscripted and unplugged and just answer to the best of all of our experience and knowledge. So welcome, Jonathan.
Hey, Loral. Definitely happy to be here, and happy to have you on the team. Like really big news, like all around. Hey, Brian, what's going on? How you guys doing?
All right. So those of you, again, use the chat if you have any other comments. And Brian, let's take it away. Actually, I have to give my disclaimer. We're not soliciting or telling you to invest in anything. We are showing you how to set up for an investment if you want a shark in your tank, but we're not telling you what to do. We're just darn smart people with a lot of experience, and we're going to have that conversation. And the system was never broke. It was built this way. It's why most people are still in the dark. They think that, having a job in a 401k and they never get their dreams in the context of tonight's call because they didn't know how to raise capital. They didn't know how to do their scalability. and it won't ever work. So we're going to leave this strategy session on the screen because Jonathan and I are going to offer you just an awesome opportunity to have a different kind of strategy session to see if you're really ready to give a pitch. And then what do you have to do to create that? So let's just leave it here. As you go, this is our floor. We have a whole army here waiting for your calls. And if you've had a strategy session tonight, will be very, very different because Jonathan's going to set it up that way. But we're going to leave it here for now. Brian, ask us some questions. Hey,
you got it. First question. This is from Nancy. Nancy says, where do you find sharks? Seems very intimidating to me.
They're in the ocean. But that's not the kind we're talking about. So actually, Jonathan, I'm going to have you lead on that. Like, how many people do you have right now that are playing the shark role, we'll call it? I know I've joined Kevin. Who else is out there? And where did you find them?
Yeah, so we're attracting a lot of sharks currently. In our database, we probably have, like, directly connected to the app, we have like 200 to 300 investors. But the really cool thing that we came to find is that when people were actually taking pitches, when we first set up our whole entire app and our ecosystem, we thought that a lot of the deals and the investors were going to have a deal happen live, or potentially from, let's say, the entrepreneur, startup company, inventor, to the actual person they're pitching. But what we've come to find, and it's incredible what's been happening, is that people are actually getting deals from people that are watching in the audience. So what's really cool is that the sharks are also, let's just say, inside of the, if you want to call them investors and, people that want to get into strategic partnerships, they're in the actual crowd. So when we launch people out to be able to have a pitch, they're able to see it on the app. It goes live on Facebook and it actually goes on YouTube. And a lot of these guys are there. So we would say that people are probably in the thousands of potential one person doing a pitch, being able to find someone in the audience that actually is interested in their project. So it's really interesting what we've come to find now with that. So there's a lot of them in there. And then we have about 12 to 15, like way more, let's just say, very present sharks and very, very high level ones too, I would say too.
Yeah. And I think that, again, where do you find them? We're everywhere. I think you tend to swim in the circle that you're comfortable with. And I think for a lot of you, you're going to have to stretch outside of your environment and your circle of influence, because they're really not a circle of influence. They're just a circle of the same conversation every day that's not moving you ahead. There are entrepreneur organizations. There's actually investor organizations. I mean, that's what we do at our big table is we teach you how to vet deals. How do you do money rules? How do you do due diligence? So I'd say sharks are everywhere. But if you aren't, it's sort of like anything else in your life. If they're not on your radar, they're never going to be in front of you. And if you don't know exactly what kind of shark you're looking for, if you're looking for more of a private lender or you want somebody really to be, because a shark in our vernacular is they're an equity owner, which means they're also bringing their brains, their experience, their knowledge with them. So it's different. There's a lot of private money and that's different than what we're talking about. You can do, some pricey notes and private money, which honestly, I love that personally. But the equity partners, they're everywhere. You just got to find them through connections. It's connections and databases, and it is who you know. And I hate that, cliche saying, but it's true. And it's why you need to hang out closer to our community. There's lots of them.
Yeah.
All right, Brian.
And I'll add one more part there if I could, Loral.
Yeah.
One of the things and one of the reasons we started what we did is because a lot of times these investors will be in some of the main hubs around the world, like let's say Silicon Valley, New York, Singapore. So it's been interesting to have, communities like what you guys are creating over there, the ecosystem that we're creating, because we're using the digital space now to connect people that never had the opportunity before. Like it's never happened before. Now it's happening.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Brian, let's do another question.
All right, I like this one. This is from Debbie. Debbie wants to know how much info, or are you ever concerned giving too much information when you're pitching a shark, considering they're the type that have the skills and ability just to go and do the same thing?
So I'm going to say no, because real sharks, I mean, we have access to get a lot of stuff done, but typically, like right now, we're typically in so many of our own projects. Like we have our wheelhouse. It's no secret that I'm in the cannabis and the CBD space, and like I'm deep into those, and I'm at a very operational consulting level. And, I just, acquired equity also in the Black Hole, the Raider Nation. Like we're typically what I see with sharks, including Kevin, and I've done shows on CNBC with Barbara Corcoran right? I mean, the typical sharks I know are so invested in their own thing. It has to be just off the charts accessible for us to like turn on our teams and turn on that time and revenue to go rip you off. I think there are people who do that. My experience is that we'd rather collaborate, which is what I love about Pitch Live and Jonathan and this whole infrastructure that they built, is because we would rather partner with you and gather a team around you than take on a hell of a lot of work and rip you off. I just think that is I'd say the folks who never have done anything usually think like that. What would you say, Jonathan? Am I too far on one side?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we actually hear a lot, and this usually comes from like inventors or someone that has a really unique idea, and they're like, oh, I don't want to divulge too much of my information, or, what if someone steals my idea? And usually the answer that I give them, it's like, and I'm actually on the same side as you, is that no, you should give as much information as you can, because first of all, if you're very passionate, inspired by what you're doing, you'll be able to inspire others into your idea. And you also need to hear the critique. So if you're not able to hear the critique about your project, and I've had these people that they just want to hold on to their ideas and they don't want to say too much because they're scared of the potentialities of what can happen. And yet they're holding themselves into a jail cell almost, if you want to call it, because they'll never be able to take these ideas out to the world. Like, you got to present it. When we came up with what we had here, like, we were telling everyone about it, just getting massive information and feedback on like what was good about what we were doing and what wasn't. So
absolutely. And so, Jonathan, talk a little bit about, because I see that I just keep looking at the strategy session on our screen. Talk about just a free opportunity for the folks to see if they're, ready to even pitch.
Yeah. So what we did here is we added obviously the phone number here for you guys to get a strategy session to see what you guys can actually do. Because one of the things that a lot of people think, and we are here to change that, people think that they have to be super crazy prepared. They have to have a crazy pitch deck ready. And the way that we're creating our system is kind of like a little bit of like online dating. And you're able to basically match make with different investors. And that won't be just your only opportunity. This is not going on to Texas Investors Club or Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, and it's that one opportunity, which, by the way, just like you said, Loral, I mean, less than 0.1% of people that try out for Shark Tank, like you said, there was 100,000 people that tried out, got to go on there, got to actually pitch, and a lot of these people aren't even getting deals. The main thing here is that we're breaking down the walls of how easy it was to get in front of these investors and getting you in front of many of them all around the globe. So what we want to create is just like a very easy way for people to do that. And we have an education ecosystem that's helping people to understand. So it's not something that you guys think like, oh my God, this is going to be so hard for me. I'm not even sure how to do the pitch. Like, no, guys, like, we're making it easier than ever to be able to do that. And it's all done online. It can be done through your phone, through your laptop, iPad. So we're creating something for you guys to be able to get your ideas out to the world in a way that was never possible before.
Well, and so really we're doing accelerator sessions is what we're calling them. They're a little different. So if you've had one with, our integrated wealth or, the old Live Out Loud teams or anybody, it's different. So talk about the acceleration. Like, what are they going to be when they call in? What's an acceleration session going to sound like with our teams?
Yeah. So one of the things that we wanted to give out to you guys for this session here is that we wanted to give basically like a 30-day free trial for people to get integrated into our accelerator program. Okay. So usually these accelerator programs are extremely expensive out in Silicon Valley and some of the hubs around the world. They can be extremely expensive, even take equity in your companies. So what we did is like we figured out that, so many people want to figure out how they can get money, how they can get exposure for their business, how they can get strategic partnerships, how they can actually get an investor or advisor for their company. So we decided, hey, a bunch of us inside of our organization of Pitch Investors Live, we're very successful entrepreneurs. We're also getting the likes of Kevin Harrington, and some huge names that have helped people raise millions up to hundreds of millions of dollars, and people that have scaled companies, show you how to do the things that you need to do to get your idea off the ground. So this is a whole entire melting pot to get you ready to be ready to pitch your idea to the world, get the exposure. We have probably about one really, and I would say this is like incredible mentor session by one of our guys, Damian Coughlin, so a very successful entrepreneur part of one of the team members of Pitch. And every week we go live. Like, for example, we just went live with Kevin Harrington. So can you guys imagine just for 1 second that you are actually in a group where you're having Kevin Harrington do a Q&A and a Facebook Live, okay? I believe we're going to have in the future, Loral's going to be going inside there. We've had Ashley Cheeks. She's helped people raise hundreds of millions of dollars. So you literally get to ask questions to these people that are doing amazing things, and for us to be able to offer for free, I think is amazing. And, I love what you're doing here with everything that you have. And that's why we're like, hey, let's go ahead and give these people something amazing that they can get their ideas off the ground.
Absolutely. So go ahead and call in. You can make your appointments. We've got a whole team on standby for your acceleration sessions. And we can't wait to help because it's just a new conversation. Like we've done so much in the money space, but it's pretty rare that you've been able to just call in and see if you're ready for a pitch. And, I didn't tell you this, Jonathan, but we did, Kevin and I did a whole bunch of CDs on the perfect pitch and putting a shark in your tank. So we're reenacting all that product and bringing that all back to life as part of this initiative as well. So Brian, let's go back one more question, and then I'm actually going to turn it to Jonathan to give you more of a formal presentation so you really understand the concepts, not just verbally, but visually. But Brian, what's a good one?
We've got a bunch of good ones. This one says, what parts do we need to prepare really for funding with the shark? Does a person need good credit, business credit? Do they need to have a good established idea, access to any specific networks, anything like that?
Well, there's a whole structure to it. I would say I'm going to go with Jonathan's answer is don't worry about being prepared because even in the world, you're rarely prepared. So you got to have a team. You've got to have an executive summary. So just what is it? And don't use a lot of superlatives. Bottom line, what is it? How does it make money? If you remember, listen to Shark Tank, they're highly scripted. What's one of the first questions we always ask is, have you had any sales? So if you have no sales, it's pretty much a non-starter for most people. I mean, there are some technologies that, they take a little while to get some cash flow runway. So I'd say an executive summary, initial sales projections. If you can get evaluation, most people can't because you don't have enough cash flow for evaluation. If you can talk about your management team, I think that's probably the most underserved part of a plan is you, the little entrepreneur all by yourself is going to come and do all this. You don't even you got to have a team. What else would you add to the list? I mean, Jonathan, that could be an hour call for us. Let's make it the highlights.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I think investors love to look at too is when you have a partner. So a lot of these investors, if it's just a solo entrepreneur doing it, they want to know that someone else believes in this idea and believes in the person enough that they're willing to go in as a potential founder. So I think that's a huge plus for them. And knowing your market, how you're going to make money. Because I would say that investors, especially savvy ones, they'll smell bullshit from a mile away, very quickly. So if you're bullshitting them and you don't know your numbers, that right there is a big turnoff for investors. They're automatically going to just shut off. And by then you already lost basically the deal. So I'd say knowing your marketplace very well, definitely knowing the trajectory and like Loral's saying, teams and such, if you do have a team, and even if you don't even have a team currently, how are you going to build that out and who are the people you're going to bring into there? And having that co-founder right next to your side, that kind of brings it to the stage, especially in Silicon Valley, a lot of these investors, that's one of the major parts that they put into play. And if you can actually show that your stuff sells, even if you just went out, if you have a product and you say hey, I have people that actually are already purchased, we haven't built the technology, I've already spoken to some people that have said that they would actually purchase or they would help license this out or something like that, that would be huge. And just showing numbers, and then I guess the other part that I would hit home very much, and this can help you move across a lot of different barriers, and is having a story. So if you have a really good story and you can get people to buy into the story and why you're doing this, what are the pain points of not just yourself, but potential society and how big this can be, that can get their attention. Also, just make sure that you actually have numbers behind it that make sense, because if not, then it just kills everything.
All right. So let's head into the next conversation. So obviously you've met Jonathan. I appreciate your input. Co-founder of Pitch Investors Live. Oh, I like these words. Futurist. Philosopher. Well, I knew you're avid knowledge seeker. That's awesome. Just massive marketing background, digital marketing, which I love about this structure and how we're doing it. And very forward-thinking visionary. You're going to see what's happening in Pitch Live. So, Jonathan, talk about how this whole concept came alive.
Yeah, so I actually met Matthew Lally about 3 years ago at a startup conference called SupX. And we were there just to basically check out what's going on with the startup community. Me and him met like on a very friendly level, like we weren't even really talking much about business, but he had an idea called 2Up. And he was about to launch it. And I was actually going to help him with the marketing because his marketing was very laggy. And I never did it. But the cool thing, the reason I liked the idea was because 2Up was a app that allowed people to go live and kind of like debate. So it was like a clash of ideas. So when people would go live, and this is actually before Facebook Live even existed. Okay, so this was a forward-thinking idea, and 2Up would allow, let's say, for example, a girlfriend and boyfriend, they want to argue about something, they could go live on the app, and people get to watch, and they get to vote on who wins. Let's say Republican versus a Democrat, or like pro-abortion, anti-abortion, or, it was just like a clash of ideas, and it became extremely popular on its own. He ended up launching that. I wasn't really helping him. I invited actually Matthew out to a place that we had. It was a little bit of an accelerator, melting pot of entrepreneurs and e-commerce, internet marketing experts out in Phoenix, and to a place called the Marketer's Mansion. When Matt came over there, he had a nice exit on his belt, and then we were just looking for people that can help us go further in our networks and just figure out what we're going to do. And we're actually going to work on a SaaS product for Shopify and e-commerce. And when he came over, he was telling us how he had switched the idea of 2Up into Pitch Investors Live, and these are the beginning stages. He had a couple like programmers on board, and he actually wanted to hire me to do the marketing. He's like, okay, now I have to get some real marketing. Like, let's go ahead and do it. So after I read the business plan, I checked it out. I literally fell in love with the project because it was basically, in essence, and this is what magazines have actually said about us, is that it's like Shark Tank meets Kickstarter meets online dating, all live streaming. So it was super amazing. I was like, holy smokes, this is ridiculous. First of all, I love Shark Tank. I love Dragon's Den. I love the whole investment world. And I myself have had over 22 companies. And one of the things that has been the hardest part for me is getting money, getting the strategic partners in place. And every time that I have gotten money, my business jumps monumentally. I'm talking about huge shifts. So I was like, wow, this is such a great idea because there's so many people that can't get funding. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. So what we did is we basically joined on board. It was like in the very beginning stages. Damien was also there. We were living in the same place, and we're like, okay, you know what? This is what we want to do. This is super exciting. The technology is so advanced. No one in the world is doing this right now. And that's where we started building everything out. So it was about in the middle of 2018 last year that we really started getting more pitches happening on the platform and everything like that. And deals actually started happening literally as a live. Like we've had actual deals happen on an actual live where someone has raised, hundreds of thousands of dollars on a live, a handshake being made on a live. Like when was that ever possible before? You take a pitch, within 30 minutes, you already have a deal. Like, who would have thought that that's actually possible? So we thought that was like extremely awesome. And one of the visions that we had for pitches that we want to be able to have pitches happening 24/7 from people from around the world. So it doesn't matter where you're at, doesn't matter what country you're in, doesn't matter what city you're in. Just even think about it for a second. There's 100,000 people that try out, but they have to be in the major cities in the United States to stand in this huge, crazy long line. It's usually like a whole entire day event at sometimes to basically try out for, Dragon's Den and Shark Tank. So with ours, it's like you can just get signed up on our platform and then boom, you can be pitching the same day, literally from your pajamas. You can be pitching from your pajamas and getting exposure in a way that was never before. And guess what?
Except for they're on Facebook Live, so they may want to at least, get out of their pajamas. But I get it.
Yeah.
So, Jonathan, I want to direct you to, because you did some awesome PowerPoints. So, I love this slide. It says, who benefits from the pitch? So, I know you're talking about each of these. Which one do you think, because I have my vote, is the most challenging role between the investors, users, startup companies, and entrepreneurs? We all need each other. Everybody needs each other.
Yeah, my guess is the investors.
Yeah, I'd agree. All right, I'm going to just guide you on our way here. Is that all right? So, tell me about some success stories, because I love this, the whole vision, what we're doing. Look forward to my first pitch tonight. Got my deck. Can't wait to give them feedback. So jump in here.
So this is a really great case study that we have. So he was actually one of the early guys into the platform. He believed in what we had, and his name was Efren. So Efren was from Gemini Cyber Resources. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was like a security company, and he had some really cool ideas about how he wants to get it started. no partners at the time or anything like that. He took a pitch to actually Kevin Harrington. He wasn't able to strike a deal with Kevin, but Kevin was telling him that he may have to send over the deck to Robert Herjavec. You probably know Robert. And Robert basically, I don't think he did the deal either. So people just saw this. And I think Efren also posted this pitch in a few different places. And all of a sudden, someone hits up Efren on LinkedIn and they're like, hey, we saw your pitch on Pitch Investors Live. We want to talk. Fast forward to a little bit. He had a full raise in his company and 2 new partners. Okay, so we're like, holy smokes, that's so cool. You know, he was one of the first guys on the platform. You know, this was probably, mid last year or something, the beginning stages of last year. And we actually just had him this is another cool thing. We bring some of the success stories into our accelerator program. So Damien was just doing a live in the accelerator program, which we would love for you guys to be attending. And Efren actually let us know, we had no idea about this, but this was about like 3 weeks ago, I would guess. And Efren just got acquired. So his company literally got acquired, and he has a deal now basically pending the acquisition. I think he still has equity in the company and everything like that, but someone else is now.
Awesome.
And it was because of Pitch Investors Live. It was amazing.
So other testimonials I know you've shared with me is the benefit of pitching this way, right? And we're not knocking like the whole Shark Tank thing, but man, when less than 1% get on and that many people have ideas and are looking for money, isn't it true that like literally other people from just watching the social platform, and I would say this is probably true, that you may not even know that Susie and Sally connect to become partners and one can fund somebody else's deal. I mean, it's not like they have to go through you, even though it could be helpful, right? Or no?
So what are you saying, that you could just have people do a Facebook Live instead of going on our platform? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like, so say like tonight, if I don't do the deal, but somebody sees the deal, they can go do it, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, here's what happens, so for example, Efren will go ahead and pitch Kevin or one of the other sharks on the platform. And what will end up happening is that these will now be on the app itself. It'll be on Facebook to rewatch and on YouTube. And one of the really interesting things is that we were talking to a gentleman, a business owner, that says he's like, your guys' platform is so addictive that sometimes I literally just sit there and I go through the pitches and I scroll up and down because he can now pick out the different pitches that he goes through. So what ends up happening is that people end up being able to use the pitch also. This is something that was very powerful. So pretend, and you know this extremely well, Loral, because I'm sure you get so many different pitches and people are pitching you all the time and you're having so many pitch decks come at you. What happens if someone sends you a pitch deck and they're like, hey, by the way, I actually have a session of me pitching Kevin Harrington or pitching Gayatri or, pitching Loral Langmeyer yourself, whoever it is. And you actually can now watch a pitch while an investor is breaking down someone's business. How much more are the investors going to want to watch that than all these pitch decks that are piling up in their email? I would say it's going to be a substantial amount more that they're going to be interested in watching this pitch that already happened. So you can use it in all kinds of forms. It doesn't have to be just about the live pitch.
Love it. So how do you get started? Right. So they're hearing about it tonight. How do they get started? What's the app look like? So kind of go down these steps on the screen. Yeah.
So basically, very interesting part. So once you get signed up into the app itself, you guys can get some idea from the support, the phone number that you guys saw over there. You're going to download the app, right? So you're going to download the app. So we're on iPhones, we're on Androids. And actually earlier this year, we actually released what's called a progressive web app, which means that now you can do it on your computer at home, your iPads and everything like that. So that was like a huge shift. When you go in there, you're going to basically create an account, username, and email. Okay. When you go in there, you'll be able to create a pitch summary. You'll be able to see some of the videos that are up and everything like that. And then that will now be displayed. Okay, so as soon as the summary is done of like, hey, this is Jonathan Enterprises, and we have a company that we are, selling digital products and services to entrepreneurs, and we're actually looking to raise, let's say $50,000. We're looking to give up 10% equity in our company. So the cool thing that happens with that, as soon as the summary goes live, what it does, it allows investors, just like Loral and Kevin Harrington and all these other investors on our platform, they can actually go into the app and now they can scroll through the projects that they like and they don't like. One of the things that we integrated too is kind of like dating apps. Any of you that are familiar with Tinder, Bumble, some of those most...
Nice. Interesting you use those choices.
Yeah, right. So those are two of the most, popular dating apps in the world. And one of the things that they do is they have a swipe feature where you left swipe, the individuals that you may not want to date, right swipe the ones that you may want to date. So for us, it's very similar that you left swipe the projects that you may not like, and then they right swipe the ones that they do like. So the really cool thing about this is where it changes the game, right? So as soon as they do a right swipe, let's say, for example, to, entrepreneur, let's say that it could be Jonathan Enterprises. As soon as they right swipe, I get a notification on my phone that says, hey, let's say if it was Loral Langmeyer swiping, Loral Langmeyer wants to get a pitch from you right now. And I'm like, pretend that I'm at dinner or I'm about to go to bed or whatever it is. I see that come in. I can't miss that opportunity, right? So I can't miss that opportunity. So as soon as she does that, I have to get ready at that moment to press yes. It'll go back to Loral, say yes. And as soon as she presses yes, we go live. Okay. A lot of investors will reach out and say, hey, are you ready at 8:00 tonight or tomorrow? Can we meet up? But some of them just want to go instantaneously. So it makes it extremely easy that, you could be creating a pitch summary within a day or two. You're already getting investors that want to pitch you. So that is the way that you can basically go live very quickly and easily in a way that hasn't been done before.
Awesome. And so download the app, right? So you have lots of options. And then I'm just going to go through our exclusive offer today. So let's just go through the bonuses and how we're going to get them up and running. And a lot of this is also just educational for all of you. How do you get started pitching? And again, the thing I'm going to say, because Kevin and I did this for, I don't even remember, 3-4 years together. I mean, we traveled all over. And exactly what you said, Jonathan, is getting ready to get ready. You just have to go. Right. And because the first pitch rarely is ever the pitch, it usually gets recrafted. You got to add management team. You got to change your financial modeling. Like we have a big project that we're working on in Cathedral City, our land development with our cannabis, and it has changed forms countless times to get ready for the right shark and the right team. So again, just listen up, take some notes, and let's talk about the perfect pitch.
Yeah. So the bonus that we're going to give out. So one of the offers that we're going to give out is the 10 steps to a perfect pitch. So this right here is literally the steps that you need to have the perfect pitch. And when people think about pitching, they don't realize this is not just for investors. Obviously this is very important for the investors and such, but when you're pitching your business, you're doing it to everyone. Okay. So if you're trying to basically have a new partner come onto the business, you got to pitch him. If you're telling your wife about the project that you're about to start or embark on, you got to pitch them. You're telling your friends about your project, you got to pitch them. You have a new supplier that you want to deal with, you got to pitch them. You know what I mean? Like that is for everything. But most importantly here, we're going to talk about investors. So what we do is we structured a very awesome and amazing 10 steps to a perfect pitch. And it's actually a video series by Kevin Harrington himself. Okay, so it's actually 10 videos to show you guys what it takes to have the perfect pitch. So Kevin has taken over 50,000 pitches. He was the original shark from Shark Tank because he had taken so many pitches and he knew that world so well, it was ridiculous. So Mark Burnett actually chose him for that reason. Then he's had 20 companies that have made over $100 million and he's raised money in so many different fashions. So imagine that you guys are going to be able to learn literally right from Kevin Harrington himself in the video exactly how to create that perfect pitch, get investment, how to get it partners on there. And then he knows exactly what it takes to have that solid pitch deck so that you can basically take your business to the next level. So that's like one of the things that we add as a bonus in there.
All right. And number 2.
All right, cool. So the second one is basically just the PDF. And the PDF of the 10 steps to a perfect pitch. So those of you that like reading a little bit more than actually watching a video, everything like that is basically going to break down everything, how to get the strategic partners, how to get funding, how to get exposure, and the guidance that is needed. So those of you that are like, I don't even know how to pitch, this is perfect for you because we're going to guide you in that direction, not just through a video series, but also PDFs that you guys can look through. One of the really cool things too that we add is that you can actually learn and practice with some of the top video pitches, which we're able to basically show you guys so that you can see what some of the successful pitches have been, what people have done, how people have pitched. So now you have actually a whole entire archive to actually sift through, go through, to work on your pitch and how you'll be able to pitch investors and, all those people around you.
All right, next. This one's so big.
Yeah, this is amazing. I mean, so one of the things that we do is in today's day and age, we're so digital and there's so much going on and there's so much information that people think that they show a 30-page business plan to an investor and they're going to take a look at it. But guess what? They don't have time. They do not have time. So it's like you need to get their attention very quickly. So what we did is we created a one-page business plan template that was helped upon through Kevin Harrington himself, some super experts on pitching and everything like that, so that you can easily capture the attention of investors. So they'll put you at the top of the list. Because if you have that business plan that is mapped out in literally one page, that right there is going to help you explain the idea much faster and keep interest. If you guys are thinking that, even that 10, 20, 30 page business plan is going to work, that stuff just doesn't anymore. So what we've created is basically more of a new age one page business plan so that you guys can use that to attract the investors and partners.
And pitch deck template. So distinguish the difference between the business plan template and the pitch deck template, because if you don't know, you're going to kind of put them and collapse them in the same thing, and they're not.
Yeah, no, and exactly. They're definitely not. So the business plan is like, where is it exactly that you're headed? What are some of the numbers that you're going to have in play, all in one small place? The perfect pitch template, pitch deck template, is basically a way to show how you're going to pitch these investors, right? So the pitch deck itself is usually done in like a PowerPoint presentation, and it gives them this quick synopsis of exactly what your business is doing, what are the pain points that you're hitting, how you're actually going to make money, who's involved in the project. And people don't realize how important this really is. Like the pitch deck itself is so freaking important. But if you can sit down with an investor, whether it's going to be, an actual sit down, or you're going to be pitching them through, an actual call or on the app or something like that, you want to make sure that you know the points to hit. And it's set up in a certain strategic way where there's basically behavior, psychology, hit points for the investor. So having a actual template for this is so vital, because investors are tired of seeing the fluff, and they're going to lose interest if you don't set it up correctly. So it's extremely important for sure.
All right. And then the private pitch investors Facebook group. So talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, so basically this is the accelerator program. So this group is super amazing, because if you're having any issues, thinking about how you want to pitch, how you want to raise money, how you want to take your business to the next level, how you want to take your idea out into the marketplace, what it takes to basically get partners involved, what it takes to have a team being built, what it takes to actually, do some internet marketing. And here's one of the things that I actually love about this group, and this has already started to happen, is that it's a network of very hungry entrepreneurs, startup companies, inventors, and they actually are collaborating together. So that's one thing too. Like when you get into a network of other individuals and entrepreneurs that are hungry, ready, to take their lives to a next level, it is so beneficial that it's not even funny. So in this group, you're going to find all that stuff.
Awesome. And how to pitch the brand on investors, on how to do it, because this is a whole different world. Like, I'm excited. I watched all morning. I watched a whole bunch of videos just to watch how the different sharks were doing it. It is different. It is very different than the way that, Kevin and I would do it in a big stage, a big audience.
Yeah, no. So basically what you're doing now is that you're pitching not just the investor, but you're pitching a crowd. And you're pitching the world, right? So one of the really cool things about this is that when you do the actual pitch, you're going to get a lot of people that are going to reach out to you, start finding out about your idea and your business and everything like that. And it allows basically for the ultimate crowdfunding opportunity. Something else, so this is actually pretty new, and we haven't actually announced this publicly just yet, but we're going to have a public announcement coming up very soon, is that we're adding a really cool component into the app itself, and we're adding a tipping mechanism. So we're going to allow for people to actually put tips, so they'll be able to tip not just, and Loral, you'll like this one, so they're going to be able to they'll be able to tip the investors also, and they'll be able to tip the actual startup companies and everything like that. So I didn't even know this, but we actually, one of our advisors is one of the original angel investors to a company called ideas.me. They're the largest crowdfunding platform in South America. What I couldn't believe myself, actually, Loral, is that this company that does this crowdfunding is actually a philanthropic company. So what they do is they actually give money to projects that are helping out the world. We do want to go towards live crowdfunding. So let's say if you have equity that you're willing to give up, we want to have live crowdfunding that will give it to you. That is actually something that we're doing here at Pitch. So you'll be able to literally get on the live and be able to raise money for your project. We're just going through all the legal regulation hurdles and everything like that. So in the meantime, we decided to bring up a way to do tipping. next month or two, we're going to basically release this technology and it's going to be amazing. You know, like I couldn't believe how it was so popular in South America. Now we'll be able to bring it around the world.
All right. So let's recap. What are they all going to get? Because we're going to give you the most extraordinary. And literally, these guys have spent, our teams have spent today. And I said, I'm like, brand new on the equity side. This is new business we're going to give a lot of attention to. And people need to know how to pitch, and they need to learn, and they need a place for it. So I'm excited about it. And you guys are getting the most extraordinary opportunity to come pitch.
Yeah, 100%. So, basically, guys, what you're going to be getting is the 10 steps to a perfect pitch training. So the video series, the PDF itself, $1,000 value there. Imagine just getting training directly from Kevin. And this is something private that you're not going to find out in public, right? The one-page plan template, $100 values on that one. The perfect pitch deck template, $1,000 value. There's actually people out there that are selling pitch deck templates and helping people with that. They charge up to $5,000, $10,000, so it's like really good to know exactly where you need to go. The Private Pitch Investors Live Facebook group, which is the accelerator program, like $1,000 value there. That right there is amazing because now you're going to tap into your network. You're going to tap into these amazing teachers, these people that have been in the entrepreneurial space and made tons of strides. Me, myself, I get inside the group and a lot of the people inside of Pitch Investors Live do, but we're bringing outside experts in so many different fields to help you scale up what you have going. And then basically being able to pitch on the actual platform itself. So one of the things also too that we wanted to add here, we were talking about, we usually have a different package that we usually do it's a little bit of like hand holding and we make sure that you get a pitch. So usually this package is like twice as much money that we're going to be offering here. So we're actually going to give that to you guys for free so we can hold your hand and actually get you on a pitch. Okay, so we are going to make it our duty to make sure that you can at least get one pitch instead of just being able to put up a summary. We're going to hold your hand, support you guys, in every single which way possible to get you ready to be able to take a pitch.
That's awesome. So excited. All right, so let's talk about the deal. And again, like any of you can call into our floor just to talk about the acceleration strategy session. That's just a free gift and a free offer. But let's talk about our offer tonight, which I can promise you these guys have not done.
Yeah, this we have not done, and we have not made the promise to be able to actually get you a pitch either. So basically, we're offering a really exclusive offer right now, which has a value of $4,000. It would be $1,000 for being able to do the white glove service to help you guys to actually get on a pitch. So for today, we're actually going to do that only for $497, guys. Okay. So if you guys go out into the world, like just imagine just having to go to Silicon Valley or New York, getting flights, getting hotels. By the time you're done, you spent thousands of dollars, and you've only pitched one or a couple investors. Okay, on our platform, not only are you going to be able to pitch, but you'll be able to get in front of, I think it was a few months ago, the average pitch was getting about 1,300 views. And we've had some pitches that get as much as up to 100,000 views. Okay, so that's like actually people watching and tapping into these actual pitches. And then guess what? You can use this pitch to take it all over the place, but it helps you all around in general for your business and not just to, let's say, to raise the money, but this is the opportunity that it gives you to get in front of investors, get the critique, get the exposure, potential strategic partnerships, and get the funding that you need for your business. Because I know all you guys have like great ideas out there. And imagine if now you have a place just like Shark Tank and Dragon's Den and Texas Investors Club, but you actually get to pitch. Because most people, it's less than 0.1% of people are actually pitching on those type of platforms. Like it's very rare that you'll be able to actually pitch. And here's the opportunity where you actually get in front of these investors.
Well, and not only that, I mean, what I love about this, there's replays on Shark Tank and how that whole thing happens, but this stays live. You can go back and see your pitch and get your feedback. And then actually, I don't know this question, Jonathan, but let's just say they take the feedback and they go fix whatever the feedback of the shark was. And they, tidy it up, get the presentation, add management, whatever the feedback was. Can they come back again? What's the process of coming back again? Because I would think the more exposure they're going to have out there, the more opportunity that they're going to get the funding, or somebody's going to know somebody that's going to know somebody within that Facebook group to get the connectivity, like you said, of the ecosystem. Because that's what's happened, like at our table. There's such an ecosystem of people, supporting other people's business. Like I know somebody who knows that, etc.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really great question. I mean, we've had some entrepreneurs that have pitched 4 or 5 times. So it doesn't mean that you're just going to pitch one time. You're basically going to pitch one time. And then if an investor sees a project, because obviously some of these investors are actually watching, right? So they're actually watching the apps because imagine, would they rather go, think about it for 1 second, guys. Would they rather go through their email and a whole bunch of boring pitch decks, or actually sit on their phone on an app and then scroll through actual pitches to real investors, including Kevin Harrington himself, Gayatri, now it's going to be Loral on there. Think about that for a second. Obviously, they're going to have a much better time. It's going to be more fun watching pitches on their cell phone, literally in their hand. So that's like really beneficial because it gets put into YouTube, it gets put into Facebook, and it's on the app itself. And people do end up coming back to be able to pitch more times because you will get better opportunities come up, and we're actually releasing something actually on the app. We're very excited about this. This is actually another, I guess we're doing some announcements here and stuff like that, but so we're releasing an actual feed on the app itself. Okay, so
that's awesome.
Where, let's say, for example, like you're like, hey, this just happened in my business, and investors can actually go ahead and talk to you about what's happening, ask you questions. Investors can actually go on the feed too and be like, hey guys, we're actually looking for businesses in the cannabis space. We're looking for businesses or inventions. I'm looking for inventions. Who's out there? So that right there is another game changer that's going to be released very soon.
That's awesome. So let's do, level 3, right? So this is our $497 silver package. So again, talk a little bit about what you're all getting for those of you that are interested. And again, we're going to give you a link that you can just go purchase it right online. And we'll actually have a 3-pay for those of you that want to do it in a 3-pay structure. So Jonathan, talk through this a little bit.
Yeah, so basically the level 3, what we've been offering, it was everything that you guys saw already. So all those bonuses, we literally jam-packed this thing with bonuses for you guys. And what it's going to allow you guys to do, and be mindful that we're actually giving you guys something, the hand-holding service, which is usually a gold package, that would be at $1,000 plus all those free extras. So what we're going to end up doing is you'll be able to have a listing about your business, invention, startup, business, whatever it can be. You'll be able to have 5 bumps. So basically it means like your project can get bumped up to the top 5 times. You're going to be featured on the app itself for actually 1 whole entire month. Okay. So you'll be featured in the future. You can bump that up later if you wanted to. And basically we are going to actually go, instead of emailing the investors, we're actually going to handpick some investors for you guys to actually speak to. So we're going to be able to get you actually on a pitch. So instead, usually how this package would be, guys, is that you can actually get a summary and then you have to get picked by the investors. But, because we love what's going on, we love that Loral just came on board and we want to give you guys so much value, we are going to help you guys actually get an actual pitch. So that's what basically the silver package is.
Awesome. So again, here's your options. You can do 1 payment of $497, and there's the link. It's integratedwealthsystems.com/pitch. And, or you can do a 3 payments of $197. So either way that works for you to, what I would do is I'd get the package. I would download all the bonuses, put what you have in our templates and our planning and our structure, and, then get ready to do your schedule. And of course, those of you that are on our big table and some of our systems already now, guess what? There's these amazing things called our laser call and other calls like that you could actually practice inside our community before you head to pitch. So those of you that, are already in coaching, already in the big table, this is just additive places where you get really targeted. And it's a community outside of our community, but it's sort of inside our community because Kevin and I have joined forces with Jonathan and Matthew and the team. So there's a couple different choices. Go to integratedwealthsystems.com/pitch and order online. And you guys know, again, those of you that are clients, you can reach back out to Kristen, to Damon, to Nick, to myself to help you get ready so you feel confident, because you are going live. I mean, this is like through Facebook Live. Like, again, I'm doing one. If you go over and download the app, you'll see me doing my first one at 5:30, and you can make some comments and hang out and support, my launch out on pitch, which I'm excited about today. And those of you that just want to talk to a strategist and say, is this really right for me? Just call in for free. Call up the 775-588-9200 number. And we look forward to helping you get some money. And who knows who your investor might be. Jonathan, anything else you want to say about it?
And guys, we're offering the accelerator program for you guys. I'll be inside there so you guys can literally connect with me directly. And I'd love to help you guys out in every single way, because that's what we're here about. Like, Pitch is actually here to help entrepreneurs, take their ideas to the next level. So we're just offering so much value, because what we want to do is make big change on the planet to be able to get these ideas out to the world. So, love being here. Loral, amazing what you have going on, and very exciting, very exciting.
I know. So let's go out for like a few more questions. I think we have like 5 minutes left. Actually, if Jonathan, you stay on, or you could pop off. I know that you're going to be supporting our teams behind the scenes on the phones. And again, pitch a shark. Do not think it has to be perfect. Waiting for the perfect pitch is impossible. So just start it soon.
We've had a number of questions come in about patents. How important is patenting before a pitch?
Oh, good conversation. Jonathan?
Yeah, so I would say this comes back to the same question that we were talking about before. What you have is something very simple. There's a potential of someone taking an idea and running with it and everything like that. I mean, if you really believe there's a big issue with that, what you definitely want to do is make sure you at least get like a patent pending. But a lot of times people, they kind of like slow themselves down on their growth and everything that they need to do, because they believe that people are going to steal. One of the things that a very important and prominent investor was telling me, he's like, usually they don't sign a lot of NDAs because, at the end of the day, people are working on similar type projects. So as long as you know that this potentially can be something really big, if you really do want to get a patent pending ahead of time, or a copyright or something like that, you could go ahead and grab that, but don't let that slow you down. One of the things that some people will do when they come to pitch and they start learning how to pitch is that they will throw the ideas out there to the investors and not give some of the real important aspects of it, and just have a business plan, and they can have a conversation separate with the investors. Sometimes they are willing later to get on. So let's say you get on the app with them and everything like that, they'll start conversations outside of it. And then if they're much more interested, then you could potentially have them sign like an NDA, as long as they're willing. And then boom, then basically you can share the idea, and that could be something that they want to get involved in.
Awesome. Let's do another question, Brian.
Is there a different way that you pitch a woman as compared to a man, or is it more based on the idea, or is it different?
Ooh, that's a great one. How many shark women do you actually have? Am I the first? I think you have one more, don't you?
We do have, I think there's 2 of them. So there was Gayatri, and then one woman out of the UK, I believe there was, and there could have been, we may have had 3, but you are definitely going to be, I would call it like spicy hot, because I don't know if you guys know, like Loral has like a certain type of personality. So I'm actually like crazy psyched up about having Loral as a shark. You guys have no idea.
It's going to be good.
But to answer the question, and then Loral, maybe you could give some insight as a woman on how it is. But I would say that there isn't a different way to pitch them, all depending on the idea and what direction that you want to go. Potentially, if you knew the background of the sharks, so let's say some of these sharks may be, or some of the investors might be, let's say, more familial. So meaning that maybe they're more family oriented or something like that, then you could basically do that. But that would be for any type of investor in general. You just want to learn about your mark, the person that you're going to be pitching, hit their key values, hit their key values, and like, what is it that they love? What is it that they're about? What is it that they stand for? And then hit those points. And I think it's regardless if it's a man or a woman. I don't know what you think about that, Loral.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't know. I don't think it's that big a deal. I mean, at the end of the day, if they're truly a shark and they've really owned and bought and sold and, really done business, it's about the deal. It's pretty rare. It's emotional. I'd say it's similar to real estate, investor's an investor. Whether it's a woman or man, beginners need to go out and look at the properties. More advanced folks, look at the decks and look at the numbers and invest from experience and numbers, not from needing to walk the property. And it's pretty rare that happens unless there's a level of project that's there. So I wouldn't say there's much of a deal.
You have time for one more?
Let's do one more.
What are the 2 biggest mistakes that somebody makes typically when they do a pitch? And on the flip side, what are the 2 things that everybody should do when doing a pitch?
I'll go first. They talk too much. They talk too much and they get needy in the conversation. That's usually a big mistake. And what you need to do is be succinct. I have a lot of linguistic training. So use your words, choose them very powerfully and very sequentially. And it's the opposite of the blah, 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 blah. Like the other part of talking too much is everybody thinks they need to know the whole damn story and the history. They don't. It's get to the point. What's the deal? Does it make money? How do you distribute it? You just get to the point is what I would say quicker.
If I would add, I guess one of the things that I would think is like really important is that you don't bullshit an investor. So like if you don't know your numbers and there's certain questions that they're asking you, just be upfront and just be like, okay, that's something that I don't know. Like you definitely want to know your numbers as well as possible, but just don't lie about it, because as soon as they hear one lie, that automatically tells them that like, okay, this is not a trustworthy person.
Yep.
Why would I go into a business if this guy's already lying to me on the first time I meet him?
Yep. And game will be over. Yeah.
Very quickly.
And it's irrecoverable, right? Because it's irrecoverable. They already know, they've already kind of coded you that way, and they're out. They'll be out really quick. So we're at the top of the hour. We always like to honor our time. So again, we've left it up on the screen. I know Brian and our team stays online, so we are not shutting down the broadcast. But those of you who want to continue to chat and ask questions, Brian, Nick, the team is here to continue to answer. Source you to our floor. If you call into the 9200 number, you can get rotated to a variety of folks there. And just go online and take advantage of this pitch offer. And you won't see this one again. This is our launch offer. There was a replay for those of you who attended, so you will get a replay. And we actually haven't decided, so internally you will just know this offer will go away and it goes to $997. So take advantage of it now. We're excited to have you be a part of it, as everything we bring it to our community first one is first and foremost for me as well. And I'm going to go get ready for my pitch in 28 minutes. And Jonathan, thank you for being on, partner. It's awesome.
Awesome. If they're part of Big Table, hey, Loral, real quick, if they're part of Big Table, where can they watch the pitch?
Jonathan, they can go straight to the pitch live and download, right?
Yeah, so they can download the app itself. Just look for Pitch Investors Live. You'll be able to see it on the app itself. Or if you'd like to see it on Facebook, you can go to Pitch Investors Live. Just type it up on Facebook and you'll be able to see it. And the live will be right there in both spaces.
And I will probably be doing it on our Facebook as well, just so we get a lot of momentum around our launch today.
Yeah. Super amazing. Yeah, guys, this is like Loral's saying, this is not a deal you're going to see again. The value here is incredible, and we're going to hold your hand and help you with everything that you need. This is something that we don't do, and we're very excited to help you guys out with.
Awesome. Jonathan, thanks for being on. Thanks all of you for listening, watching. And again, we will keep the chat open for a while for you guys to continue conversations, and our team is brilliant and can answer many of them as they're extraordinarily trained and versed in our conversation. So have a great night, and we'll be in touch soon. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Real Money Talks podcast. Your host has been Loral Langmeyer, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View. Want to learn more about off-Wall Street investing, tax strategies, and multi-million-dollar business strategies? Visit liveoutloud.com/podcast for past episodes, show notes, and resources. For some special wealth-building gifts only for Loral's podcast listeners, visit liveoutloud.com/podcastgifts. Do you have a burning question for Loral? Visit askloral.com to submit your question, and it may just be covered on a podcast episode. So stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to get new episodes every week.